Have you ever walked through a land where the sky itself feels alive? Where every cliff, meadow, and shoreline seems to carry wings? That place is Ireland. Here, nature tells its story not only in rolling green hills and rugged coasts, but also in the birds that fill its skies. Ireland is home to some of the strangest and most remarkable species in Europe. Birds you might not expect, and some you may not believe exist. From the massive white-tailed eagle, a predator once lost and now returned to Irish skies, to the secretive corn crake, whose call echoes across meadows at dusk, to seabirds like the Atlantic puffin, dressed like clowns yet surviving the harshest oceans. Each one carries a tale of survival, wonder, and mystery. This is not just a list, it's a journey through wetlands and woodlands, over storm-battered cliffs and quiet fields. A journey to meet 15 strange species, each revealing a different side of Ireland's wild heart. So settle in, open your imagination, and let's begin our flight into the skies of Ireland, where the rare, the strange, and the unforgettable still live. The Atlantic wind whips across Ireland's rugged coastline. Waves crash against black cliffs, spraying salt into the air. And then, high above the sea, a shadow appears. Wings spread wide, a bird larger than you expect, circling with steady, deliberate power. The white-tailed eagle, Ireland's giant of the skies. With a wingspan stretching nearly 8 feet, it is the largest bird of prey in the country. Its body is dark brown, its head pale, and its tail gleams stark white, flashing like a beacon as it wheels through the clouds. Locals sometimes call it the flying barn door, a nod to its sheer size when seen overhead. Here's a fun fact. White-tailed eagles were once extinct in Ireland. Shot, poisoned, and driven out by the 19th century, they disappeared for more than 100 years. But in 2007, a bold reintroduction program brought young eagles from Norway, releasing them into the wild on Ireland's west coast. Today, these birds are soaring once more above Kerry, Clare, and beyond, a living symbol of recovery. When it hunts, the eagle is masterful. With eyes 10 times sharper than ours, it scans the water, waiting. Then, like a stone dropped from the sky, it dives. Talons outstretched, it seizes a fish with effortless precision, rising again as droplets scatter in the wind. Sometimes it even steals prey from ospreys or gulls, using sheer size to dominate the skies. In Irish folklore, eagles were seen as messengers between the human world and the divine. Their cries echoed over mountains, carrying warnings, wisdom, and power. To see one was to feel the presence of something greater than yourself. Now let me ask you, have you ever stood beneath a bird so massive, so commanding, that it made you feel small, and yet somehow uplifted at the same time? That's the gift of the white-tailed eagle. So the next time you look out across Ireland's wild coastlines, picture this bird, once lost, now returned. A king of the skies, writing a new chapter in Ireland's story, one wingbeat at a time. The summer meadow is alive with sound. Grass sways in the breeze, bees hum between blossoms, skylarks sing overhead. But then, cutting through it all, comes a voice unlike any other. Crex, 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 the call of the corn crake. It's not a song, not in the way a robin sings or a blackbird whistles. It's a rasp, harsh, metallic, repeated again and again, sometimes all night long. To some it's strange, even unsettling. To others it's the soundtrack of old Ireland, when hay meadows stretched across the land. The bird itself is shy, almost secretive, about the size of a pigeon with streaked brown plumage that blends perfectly with tall grass. You may hear it dozens of times, yet never see it. The corn crake prefers to remain hidden, slipping between stems, vanishing like a ghost in the meadow. Here's a fun fact. Corn crakes are long-distance travelers. Each year, they leave Ireland at summer's end and fly thousands of miles to winter in Africa, down to the Congo Basin. And yet, when spring returns, they come back to the same fields, the same meadows, as if guided by memory written into their bones. Once common across Ireland, their numbers plummeted in the 20th century. Modern farming cut meadows earlier, destroying nests before chicks could fledge. By the 1990s, the corn crake had nearly vanished. Today, thanks to conservation efforts in Donegal and Mayo, their rasping calls can still be heard, though faintly, like echoes from the past. In Irish folklore, the corn crake's relentless voice was sometimes linked to spirits wandering the fields at night. Farmers joke that it was the bird that never sleeps, always calling, always hidden. Now let me ask you, have you ever heard a sound in nature so strange, so insistent, that it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once? That's the corn crake, more often a voice than a sight. A reminder that sometimes the wildest mysteries hide in plain fields. So next time you walk through an Irish meadow, listen closely. If you hear that rasping chorus, know that you've encountered one of Ireland's strangest survivors, still clinging to the grasslands, still singing its rough song into the night. The Atlantic breeze sweeps across an Irish island, waves sparkle in the sunlight, gulls wheel overhead, and then, slicing through the air, comes a flash of white and gray, wings long and sharp like blades. The roseate tern. Among Ireland's seabirds, none is more elegant. Its body is pale and slender, its wings narrow, built for speed and grace. The tail feathers stream behind like ribbons. And in breeding season, a soft wash of pink glows across its breast, so faint it almost seems like the sky itself blushing at dawn. That blush is how the bird earned its name, roseate. Here's a fun fact. Despite their delicate looks, roseate terns are fierce. They nest in dense colonies, often on small, rocky islands. When danger approaches, be it gull, crow, or human, an entire flock rises as one, diving and calling, driving intruders away with astonishing courage. It's a reminder that strength often comes from unity. Ireland is home to one of Europe's most important colonies of roseate terns, on Rockabill Island off the coast of Dublin. Each summer, hundreds gather there, returning from winter grounds as far away as West Africa. Year after year, the same islands call them back, proof of instincts older than history. Once their numbers were much higher, but hunting, egg collecting, and habitat loss pushed them to the brink. Conservation programs protecting nesting sites, controlling predators, have helped them recover, yet they remain one of the rarest terns in Europe. Seeing one in flight is still a privilege. In Irish tradition, seabirds were often considered messengers, guiding fishermen toward safe waters or warning of storms. Watching a roseate tern hover, then plunge into the sea with a lightning dive, it's easy to see why. Their movements carry precision, purpose, and a beauty that feels almost supernatural. Now let me ask you, have you ever seen a creature so fragile in appearance, yet so fearless in spirit, that it changed the way you thought about strength? That's the roseate tern. So the next time you look out over Ireland's coast, keep an eye on the horizon. Among the gulls and waves, you may catch a glimpse of this ghostly tern, pale, swift, touched with rose, a fleeting jewel of the sea. The winter fields of Ireland lie quiet. Frost glitters across stubble. A flock of geese settles in the distance, gray, brown, familiar. But among them, one bird stands out, glowing with color as though dressed for a festival. The red-breasted goose, smaller than most geese but striking beyond compare. Its breast is a deep chestnut red, framed by bold bands of white and black. The pattern is so precise, so intricate, that it almost looks painted by a master's hand. Seen against a snowy field, the bird seems unreal, a splash of fire on a canvas of winter. Here's a fun fact. The red-breasted goose breeds far away in Siberia, nesting close to raptors like falcons and hawks. Why? Because predators that guard their own nests also keep foxes and other dangers at bay. It's a clever strategy, safety through unlikely neighbors. Only a few thousand visit Western Europe in winter, and spotting one in Ireland is a rare delight. Birdwatchers wait eagerly for the news. A small flock has arrived on coastal fields, mingling with Brent geese. For those who travel to see it, the sight feels like stumbling upon royalty among commoners. Culturally, its beauty hasn't gone unnoticed. In Russia, where it breeds, the red-breasted goose was long admired as a herald of spring's return. In Ireland, its presence is more mysterious, an exotic visitor from distant lands, carried here by instinct and ancient migration routes. And it isn't just beauty for beauty's sake. This goose is endangered, its numbers threatened by climate change and habitat loss. Each time one appears in Ireland, it's a reminder of how delicate migration truly is, how thin the thread of survival can be. Now let me ask, have you ever seen an animal so colorful, so perfectly patterned, that you wondered if nature was showing off? That's the red-breasted goose. So next time you walk along Ireland's coast in winter, keep an eye on the flocks grazing in the fields. Look closely. Among the gray and the brown, you may find a single bird glowing like a ruby in snow. The marsh at dawn is alive with whispers. Reeds sway in the breeze, water shimmers with the first light, and frogs stir in the shallows. But somewhere deep in the grass, hidden from sight, a tiny bird stirs. The Corn Crake. Barely bigger than a sparrow, this bird is a master of concealment. Its plumage is streaked brown and gray, blending perfectly with reeds and mud. It moves low to the ground, slipping between stems like a shadow. Many birdwatchers hear its call, soft, high, almost insect-like, long before they ever see the bird itself. Here's a fun fact. The Corn Crake is one of the most secretive birds in Europe. In Ireland, its presence is so rare that even experienced ornithologists celebrate a single glimpse. Spotting one is like finding a pearl hidden in a sea of grass. The bird nests in dense marsh vegetation, weaving small floating platforms of plant stems. Chicks emerge covered in black down, tiny specks of life darting across lily pads. For a few weeks, the reeds come alive with their squeaks before the family disappears back into silence. In Irish tradition, marshes were places of mystery, lands between earth and water, where strange sounds at night spark stories of spirits. The Corn Crake fits perfectly into that world, a bird that calls but rarely shows itself. A voice of the marsh, more myth than reality. Its global journey is equally remarkable. Corn Crakes migrate at night, covering great distances between Europe and Africa. Imagine a bird so small, flying across seas and deserts in darkness, guided only by instinct. But survival is fragile. As wetlands shrink, so too do their chances. Conservationists warn that without protected marshes, these secretive calls may vanish altogether. Now let me ask you, have you ever known something was there, felt it, heard it, yet never managed to see it? That's the Corn Crake, a presence more often imagined than witnessed. So the next time you pass an Irish marsh at dawn, pause, listen. That faint insect-like note from deep in the reeds might be your only clue that one of Ireland's strangest, most elusive birds still lingers, unseen but very much alive. The tide recedes across an Irish estuary. Mudflats stretch wide, glistening with pools of water left behind by the sea. Shorebirds scatter along the flats, probing, calling, chasing small crabs. And then, among them, you notice a bird with a bill long and straight, moving with a rhythm unlike any other. The short-billed dowitcher. Its plumage, mottled brown and gray, blends well with the mud. But what makes it unforgettable is the way it feeds. Head down, bill stabbing rapidly into the sand, up and down, like a sewing machine at work. The motion is so fast, so relentless, that it seems the bird might stitch the very shoreline together. Here's a fun fact. Despite the name short-billed, its bill is not short at all. In fact, it's long, nearly as long as the bird's head and neck combined. The name only makes sense when you compare it to its cousin, the long-billed dowitcher. To the untrained eye, telling them apart is nearly impossible. Even seasoned birders sometimes puzzle over the two. In Ireland, the short-billed dowitcher is a rare migrant, showing up occasionally on coastal mudflats. For birdwatchers, spotting one feels like finding a secret guest at a crowded party. Unexpected, but thrilling. Each sighting is reported with excitement, drawing others to catch a glimpse before the bird moves on. Their journey is extraordinary. These dowitchers breed in the northern wetlands of Canada and Alaska, then migrate thousands of miles south to winter in Central and South America. Occasionally, a few stray across the Atlantic to Ireland, an epic detour, guided only by wind and instinct. Imagine that. A bird weighing less than a quarter of a pound, traveling oceans, arriving on Irish shores as if carried by fate. Now let me ask you, have you ever stumbled on something that didn't seem to belong and yet somehow felt perfect in its place? That's the short-billed dowitcher, a stranger from across the sea, fitting seamlessly into Ireland's wild shores. So the next time you walk an estuary at low tide, watch closely. Amid the flocks of familiar sandpipers, look for that sewing machine rhythm. If you see it, you'll know. You've just met one of Ireland's strangest and most unexpected visitors. The midday sun beats down on the Irish cliffs. Gulls wheel overhead, ravens call, and then, gliding low, wings spread like sails, comes a bird unlike any other. The Egyptian vulture. Its appearance is startling. A cloak of white feathers streaked with black. A narrow yellow face, bare of feathers, with sharp eyes full of calculation. At first glance, it may even look ragged, scruffy compared to the regal eagles and sleek falcons. But don't be fooled. This bird carries a reputation older than history itself. Here's a fun fact. The Egyptian vulture is one of the few birds known to use tools. In the wild, it picks up rocks in its beak and hurls them at ostrich eggs to crack them open. Clever, resourceful. A reminder that intelligence in nature comes in many forms. Though rare in Ireland, appearing only as a wandering migrant, its presence sparks awe. After all, this is a bird of legends. In ancient Egypt, it was sacred to the goddess Isis, symbol of motherhood and protection. For centuries, people saw it as a purifier, cleaning the land by consuming what was left behind. Its migration is extraordinary. Egyptian vultures breed across southern Europe and parts of Asia, then travel thousands of miles to winter in Africa. For one to appear in Ireland means it has strayed far from its usual path, carried perhaps by wind, perhaps by chance. Each sighting here feels like a brush with myth itself. And while its appearance may seem odd, narrow head, hunched stance, it carries a nobility of its own. It survives where others fail. It adapts, invents, endures. Now let me ask you, have you ever met something that seemed plain, even awkward at first sight, but revealed surprising brilliance the longer you looked? That's the Egyptian vulture. So the next time you think of Ireland's skies, don't imagine only the familiar. Picture this pale wanderer, strange, intelligent, ancient. A bird that has carried symbols from temples of Egypt to the cliffs of Ireland. Proof that the unexpected can appear where you least expect it. The Irish woodland in spring is alive with sound. Leaves just unfurling, streams murmuring in the undergrowth, and from the canopy comes a sharp, cheerful song. Then in a flicker of black and white, a small bird darts into view. The pied flycatcher, compact, quick, and striking in its contrast. The male wears a neat black coat with pure white patches on his wings and forehead. The female is softer, cloaked in brown and gray. Together, they blend simplicity with elegance. A reminder that beauty isn't always about bright colors. It can be about balance too. Watch closely and you'll see why it carries its name. From a perch, the flycatcher darts into the air, snatching insects in mid-flight with astonishing precision. It returns to the branch in an instant, as if nothing happened. Over and over again, perch, dash, catch, return. A rhythm as natural as breathing. Here's a fun fact. Pied flycatchers are long-distance migrants. They spend winters in West Africa, then travel thousands of miles to Europe, including Ireland, to breed. And timing is everything. If they arrive too early, the insects aren't abundant enough. If too late, others take the best nesting holes. They are creatures of perfect scheduling, bound to the pulse of the seasons. In Ireland, they're most often found in mature oak woodlands, where they compete with tits and starlings for nesting sites. Males even inspect multiple cavities before choosing one, sometimes wooing females with a display of options, almost like showing off a real estate portfolio in feathers. Though not as famous as puffins or eagles, the pied flycatcher has its own charm. Birdwatchers prize the first song of spring, a crisp note that signals migration has turned the page again. To see one is to witness the miracle of small travelers, making impossible journeys year after year. Now let me ask you, have you ever watched something so small, yet so perfectly timed, that it seemed wiser than we give it credit for? That's the pied flycatcher. So next time you walk beneath Ireland's oaks in spring, pause and listen. That sharp call, that flash of black and white, it might just be this little aerial hunter stitching together the forest with flight and song. The garden is still in the cool of early morning. Dew clings to grass, mist hovers just above the hedgerows, and then from the top of a chimney or a lone tree branch comes a song so rich, so liquid, that it stops you in your tracks. The Eurasian blackbird. At first glance, the male seems plain, coal-black plumage, broken only by a bright yellow bill and eye-ring. The female, brown and streaked, slips more quietly through the hedges, but looks deceive. What sets this bird apart is not its feathers, it's its voice. Here's a fun fact. Blackbirds are some of the greatest songsters in Europe. Each male crafts a song of his own, mellow, flute-like phrases, repeated with small variations, as if improvising jazz in the treetops. They sing at dawn and at dusk, filling gardens, fields, and forests with music that feels older than memory. In Ireland, the blackbird's song has long been woven into folklore and poetry. It was said that three great musicians of the natural world were the blackbird at Belfast Lough, the stag at Loch Lane, and the salmon at the River Boyne. To hear a blackbird at twilight was thought to be a blessing, a promise of peace after the day's labor. Though common across Ireland, blackbirds have quirks that make them fascinating. They fiercely defend territories, chasing intruders with surprising boldness. And their diet is varied. Worms plucked from lawns, berries stolen from hedgerows, even scraps from gardens. Adaptable, resilient, ever-present. Yet for all their familiarity, they never lose their magic. To sit quietly and hear that rolling song is to be reminded that beauty doesn't always come from rarity. Sometimes it comes from constancy, from a neighbor who has been singing outside your window all your life. Now let me ask you, have you ever stopped in your tracks, not because of what you saw, but because of what you heard? That's the blackbird. So the next time you find yourself in an Irish garden at dusk, listen. Above the rooftops, above the hedgerows, that golden song belongs to a bird both ordinary and extraordinary, the Eurasian blackbird. The Irish hedgerow is quiet beneath a pale winter sky. Frost clings to the grass. The world feels hushed, waiting. And then, a spark of color lands on a branch. A small, round bird, chest glowing red as though lit from within. The European robin, tiny, no bigger than your hand, yet instantly recognizable. Its warm orange-red breast shines against its gray-brown body, a beacon in the muted winter landscape. With bright eyes and a curious tilt of the head, it often seems to watch you as much as you watch it. Here's a fun fact. Despite its gentle looks, the robin is fiercely territorial. Males and even females defend their patch with surprising aggression, chasing rivals with sharp calls and fluttering wings. That sweet singer in your garden? It's also a warrior, ensuring its place in the hedgerow choir. The song is simple yet enchanting. Clear, tinkling notes that can be heard even on the darkest days. Robins sing through winter when most birds fall silent. To hear one on a frosty morning is to feel the season soften, just a little. In Ireland and across Europe, the robin carries layers of meaning. Folklore says it is a messenger, carrying the souls of the departed. In Christian tradition, the red breast was earned when a robin tried to comfort Christ on the cross, staining its feathers with blood. And in modern times, the robin has become a symbol of Christmas, appearing on countless cards and decorations, a reminder of warmth in the coldest season. Though common, robins inspire affection like few other birds. Gardeners know them as companions, often perching nearby as soil is turned, waiting for worms to be unearthed. Their presence feels personal, as if they are keeping you company. Now let me ask you, have you ever felt a connection to a wild creature? Small, ordinary, yet strangely intimate? That's the European robin. So the next time you walk an Irish lane in winter, keep an eye on the hedges. That flash of red-orange, that gentle song breaking the stillness, it may just be Ireland's most beloved bird, the robin, reminding you that even in the coldest seasons, life and warmth endure. The wetlands of Ireland shimmer under a low afternoon sun, Reed beds whisper in the breeze. Ripples spread across shallow pools. And then, a small flock of ducks glides into view. At first, they seem ordinary, until you notice the bills. The northern shoveler. Its beak is broad, flat, and long, shaped like a spoon. Compared to the neat, pointed bills of most ducks, this one looks oversized, almost comical, like a tool borrowed from another species. But in truth, it's a marvel of design. Here's a fun fact. That giant bill works like a sieve. The shoveler sweeps its head side to side through the water, straining out tiny seeds, insects, and plankton. Watch a flock together, and you'll see them circle in formation, stirring the water like a whirlpool to bring food to the surface. It's teamwork at its finest. The male in breeding plumage is striking. Dark green head, chestnut flanks, white chest, and bold yellow eyes that shine against the dark. The female, cloaked in mottled brown, blends seamlessly into the reeds, guarding nests hidden deep in grass. In Ireland, northern shovelers are winter visitors, gathering on lakes, estuaries, and marshes. Bird watchers delight in finding them among more common teal and mallards. Their strange bills make them instantly recognizable, even at a distance. Folklore didn't leave them unnoticed. Ducks with unusual features were often thought to carry omens or to be birds out of place in the natural order. For farmers, seeing a flock of shovelers swirling together was said to foretell change in the weather. Winds shifting, rain on the way. But beyond myth, they play a quiet role in the ecosystem. By filtering water for food, they help control insect populations and recycle nutrients, keeping wetlands alive and balanced. Now let me ask you, have you ever seen an animal that looked a little odd, funny even, until you realized its design was perfect for survival? That's the northern shoveler. So next time you're near an Irish marsh, watch the water's surface. If you see ducks sweeping their spoon-shaped bills back and forth in unison, you'll know you found one of Ireland's strangest, most ingenious winter guests. The northern sea crashes against rocky Irish shores. Spray rises, gulls cry overhead. Out beyond the breakers, a dark line of birds bobs in the waves. Large, sturdy, built for the cold. The common eider. This is no ordinary duck. It's the largest duck in the northern hemisphere. Heavy-bodied, strong-winged, perfectly at home in icy waters. The male is unmistakable. Black and white plumage, a pale green wash on the nape, and a wedge-shaped head that slopes smoothly into its broad bill. The female, cloaked in rich brown, is patterned like rippling sand, perfectly camouflaged on the nest. Here's a fun fact. The common eider is the source of eiderdown, the softest, warmest feather lining in the world. For centuries, people in Northern Europe collected it carefully from nests after the females plucked it to cushion their eggs. So prized was this down that it was called the gold of the north, filling royal bedding and treasured quilts. In Ireland, eiders are winter visitors, congregating on cold northern coasts. Watch them dive, disappearing beneath the waves for long moments before surfacing with muscles clamped in their bills. They are expert shellfish hunters, swallowing prey whole, shells and all. Their powerful gizzards grind it down with ease. Their lives are bound to the harsh sea. Eiders form dense flocks, sometimes thousands strong, floating together like rafts across gray waters. Their calls, low, cooing notes from the males, sound almost like gentle conversations carried by the wind. Folklore often admired their endurance. To see eiders thriving where storms rage was a reminder of resilience, of life flourishing in the most unforgiving places. Even their down was seen as a gift from nature, warmth drawn from the coldest lands. But their survival depends on fragile coasts. Oil spills, overfishing, and climate shifts threaten the mussel beds they depend on. Where mussels vanish, the eiders vanish too. Now let me ask you, have you ever touched something so soft, so impossibly warm, that it felt like a miracle of nature? That's the gift of the eider. So next time you look out on Ireland's winter seas, watch for those sturdy silhouettes riding the waves. They are more than ducks. They are masters of the cold, carriers of warmth, living proof of survival in the harshest waters. The Irish sky begins to darken at dusk. Fields fall silent, the air cools, and then a whisper of wings. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. a black cloud begins to rise and twist above the horizon. The European starling. Up close, they may not seem extraordinary. Glossy black birds speckled with tiny white dots about the size of a thrush. But catch them in sunlight, and their feathers shine with greens, purples, and blues, like oil spilled across water. Beauty hidden in plain sight. Here's a fun fact. Starlings are master mimics. They can copy the calls of other birds, even mechanical sounds. Car alarms, phone ringtones, whistles. Some have been known to weave entire songs made from a patchwork of borrowed voices. But it's not their mimicry that makes them legendary. It's the murmurations. In winter, starlings gather in vast flocks, swirling through the sky in shapes that seem alive. Waves, funnels, rolling shadows that shift and ripple as one. No leader, no signal, just perfect coordination, each bird responding in split seconds to its nearest neighbors. Scientists still study these movements, marveling at how such order can emerge from chaos. In Ireland, murmurations can be seen over wetlands and reed beds, particularly in the colder months. To stand beneath one is unforgettable. The rush of wings like thunder, the sky reshaped before your eyes. Folklore often painted the starling as both trickster and messenger. Its mimicry made it suspicious, a bird of shifting voices. Yet its gatherings inspired awe, seen as omens of change or signs of unity. In some traditions, a murmuration was thought to carry the souls of the departed, swirling together before vanishing into night. And while common, starlings remind us that strangeness doesn't always mean rarity. Sometimes it means abundance, behaving in ways that feel otherworldly. Now let me ask you, have you ever seen a sky so full of life that it seemed to breathe, to move like a single vast creature? That's the starling murmuration. So the next time you walk the Irish countryside at dusk, look up. If you see the sky ripple and twist in living shapes, remember, you are watching one of nature's strangest, most spectacular performances. The Irish forest at night is a different world. Moonlight filters through branches, mist rises from the undergrowth, and silence seems to press in from all sides. Then from the darkness, it begins. Tu-whit, tu-who. The haunting duet of the tawny owl. Stocky, broad-winged, cloaked in mottled brown, the tawny owl is built for the shadows. Its round face funnels sound into large dark eyes, giving it perfect vision in near darkness. Its flight is silent, each wing feather edged like velvet to muffle the air. A ghost moving between the trees. Here's a fun fact. The famous tu-whit, tu-who is not one call but two. The female gives the sharp tu-whit, while the male answers with the drawn-out tu-who. Together, they create the eerie duet that has become the soundtrack of European nights for centuries. In Ireland, tawny owls are woodland residents, rarely seen but often heard. They nest in old tree cavities, raising chicks that hiss and screech in the night, demanding food from tirelessly hunting parents. Their diet is varied: mice, voles, beetles, frogs, whatever the forest offers. Folklore often cast owls as omens. Their calls were said to warn of death or to signal secrets carried in the night. Yet others saw them as guardians, protectors of the woods, guiding lost travelers with their voices. In Celtic mythology, the owl was sometimes linked to the otherworld, a creature of wisdom and mystery. To hear a tawny owl in an Irish forest is to feel both awe and unease. The sound is beautiful, but it carries weight, like the forest itself is speaking. Now let me ask you, have you ever heard a voice in the night that sent a shiver down your spine, even as it fascinated you? That's the tawny owl. So the next time you walk through Ireland's woods after dark, listen closely. That echo from the treetops may not be the wind. It may be the tawny owl, keeper of the night, singer of the shadows, reminding you that the forest is never truly silent. The cliffs of Western Ireland rise sheer from the sea. Waves crash far below, sending spray into the wind. And then, perched on narrow ledges in neat little rows, you see them. Small, stocky birds with faces like painted masks. The Atlantic Puffin. Few birds are as instantly charming. With their squat bodies, bright orange feet, and triangular bills splashed with red, yellow, and blue, puffins look almost comical. Some call them the clowns of the sea, Others, sea parrots. Whatever the name, one thing is certain: they are unforgettable. Here's a fun fact: that colorful bill is seasonal. In winter, puffins shed the bright outer layers, leaving it duller and smaller. Come spring, the vibrant colors return, just in time for courtship. It's like putting on a festival mask each year to impress a partner. And partners matter. Puffins mate for life. Each spring, they return to the same cliffs, the same burrows, often the same mate. They dig deep tunnels into the turf, laying a single egg. Parents take turns fishing, diving with astonishing skill, using their wings like flippers. A puffin can carry a dozen fish crosswise in its bill at once, neatly stacked like silver spoons. In Ireland, puffins are found on islands like Skellig Michael and the cliffs of Moher, where visitors travel just for a glimpse. Watching them waddle across the grass before launching into the air is a delight that never grows old. Yet for all their charm, puffins face serious threats. Climate change and overfishing have reduced the sand eels they depend on. Colonies once teeming with thousands now shrink each year. Their bright faces mask a fragile struggle for survival. Still, they endure, symbols of resilience wrapped in feathers of joy. To see one is to smile, but also to remember how much is at stake. Now let me ask you, have you ever seen a creature so whimsical, so endearing, that it felt like nature was sharing a joke with you? That's the puffin. So the next time you gaze out over Ireland's stormy seas, picture them, lined up on the cliffs, faces painted, wings beating, carrying laughter into the wind. The strangest, sweetest guardians of the Atlantic coast. Ireland's skies and shores have revealed their secrets. From the towering white-tailed eagle to the hidden corn crake, from the delicate roseate tern to the playful Atlantic puffin, we've walked through meadows, forests, and seas to meet 15 of the strangest and most remarkable birds this island has to offer. Each species carries a story. Some are tales of survival against the odds, like the eagle's return after extinction. Others are whispers of mystery, like the Bayonne's crake calling unseen from the reeds. Some delight us with beauty, the robin's red breast glowing in winter, or with spectacle, like starlings swirling in their murmurations. And some, like the puffin, remind us that even joy has a fragile side, but together they share a message. Ireland is not just a land of green hills and old stone. It is a land of wings, songs, and migrations that link this island to the far corners of the world. Now let me ask you, which of these strange birds surprised you the most? Which one left you wanting to see it with your own eyes? Thank you for joining this journey across Ireland's wild heart. Until next time, keep watching the skies, and remember, wonder is never far away.